Welcome to CX in the Wild Season 3. Let's catch up with Dennis on Safari now.
Let's start out with your name and who you are and what you do.
All right, my name's Alan Pendleton. I'm the CEO and founder of ArenaCX. What we do is we're a global marketplace for business process outsourcing. I'm also a husband of 20 years and a father of 2 daughters.
Wow. I can commiserate with you. I have 3 children myself, and I've been married, I think 30 years now up there. So same sort of experience there. So congratulations on that, by the way. Those are probably, those life accomplishments, they just don't get mentioned well enough or often enough. And I think they really are defining for human beings. So I always listen for like where people fit in that spectrum. All right, Alan, thank you for talking to me today. The first thing I want to know, just as the audience gets to know you, is I want to hear about a customer experience that really stuck with you and made an impact. How did that experience shape your approach to working in the CX industry? Take us back.
Oh, wow. That's can go in either direction. You can have a terrible customer experience that shapes your journey, and as well as just an incredible one. Recently, unfortunately, we've had one on the downside. This is where my mother-in-law is going through elder care issues with her 90-year-old father. He's reached an age where they've removed his car key access from him. And what he keeps doing is getting an Uber, going to a car dealer, and buying a car on a credit card. So number one, he's done that 3 times, and they keep selling these cars. Number one, you have a sales rep who's willing to sell a 90-year-old man a car on a credit card, knowing he's not of sound mind to make that judgment. But number 2, the level of difficulty that my wife's parents faced when they were dealing with a dealership that's a major player was surprising at how hard they made it for them to get the car that he had purchased under these conditions ready for resale. And it was just disappointing. And I saw my mother-in-law and father-in-law deeply distraught for 2 weeks as they went through this journey of trying to kind of get back to what normal was. And it would have been so easy at numerous touch points along that journey, these interactions, to change that entire dynamic. And that's what we should be doing as CX professionals and people who can influence the state of the world. Spreading that little bit of kindness to others is contagious, and it just enriches the world. And there's no reason any of us need to live life to bring others down or let that proliferate. There's enough bad things that'll happen without our help. We don't need to do it, to add to it.
So true. That's such an interesting customer experience. And do you think that was there's a nugget of that inside you that makes you want to be a champion in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think it's about as human as it gets when you're dealing with, especially if you're dealing with customer service, customer care in the call center world. Most of the time you're reaching out because the experience didn't go as you expected, or you have questions. And as fast paced as life is, we're looking for quick answers from knowledgeable people who care about helping us. And we want brands that will connect with us. And life's too short to have it any other way. And so from my perspective, there's ways we can use this industry to make life better for consumers and end users of the CX journey, connecting with brands. There's certainly lots of examples I'm sure you've had on your show all the time about that. But then there's other elements of what kind of gets me to wake up running and why I'm passionate about it. One is the contact center universe and the customer care universe employs a lot of people. It's a large global industry. And there's so many disadvantaged populations in the world that need these positions and would be passionate about keeping them. When we see high attrition in certain markets in these roles, the opposite is true when you're dealing with hardship cases or people coming from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. When they get those jobs, the attrition is great. They want to stay there. They help them out. So even in our marketplace, part of my passion is we now have BPO partners that source only trafficking survivors. They're providing work for people who are re-entering society after a tough experience. We have BPOs that only hire refugees. We have 40 refugee camps plugged into Arena right now where you can get access to, say, a Ukrainian national displaced by the war with Russia sitting in Estonia on a laptop getting paid digitally doing BPO work. We got 40 of those. We've got visually impaired. This is a way we can use and leverage our industry, not just out of profits. We're talking cost of goods sold, operating expenses, SG&A, where the dollars are bigger. We can get great service while doing the world a great service at the same time.
You know, I'm always a sucker for saving the world. I will tell you that I share that with you because the reason I focus my CX stories globally is because of that exact same part of what you're saying, which is I see, you know, so many times in customer experience, we think about fully developed nations and customers and revenue. Mm-hmm. And while that's important, I also look beyond that to the human beings who are creating empathy or displaying empathy or practicing empathy and understanding at scale. So customer care agents on the front line are really, like, in some ways, the last holdout for humanity, if I wanted to get Orwellian about it. But I appreciate that so much, that you're impacting people around the world. And, you know, I've been following you for, I think, 2 years now. I first met you in Nashville. And at the time, what really fascinated me about your work was this idea of being able to respond to a natural disaster or some catastrophe. You've provided a marketplace where if I'm a big brand, and let's say I'm doing really well and I have a great group of customer care agents spreading empathy, making customers happy, but there's a catastrophe, a hurricane or something, and I need to switch to continue to support my customers, you know, you provided that pathway, and I had never seen that before. Now, are you still doing a lot of that work? And I know your business has evolved in the last year. You become like the new hotness for the industry. But can you walk me through, you know, how much of that is your benefit to the market, and then where have you gone in the last 2 years?
Yeah, Dennis, thank you for asking, and definitely. So we view the outsourcing journey as having 5 key steps, and we're providing an unparalleled value prop at each of the 5 steps, unlike any other solution available. The first step is BPO partner identification. By some lists, there's more than 200,000 BPOs in the world. Now, most buyers of BPO services can rattle off the top 10 list, but there are literal diamonds, incredible BPOs that I would call middle market BPOs. They may have 25,000 headcount. They're well-resourced. They have capital. They have all the tech stack. They're in the right countries. They can do everything, but they're not going to get invited to a corporate RFP because you're not going to invite 50 companies to bid, right? Through a marketplace, we've vetted in great detail 170 partners. We have a 10% admission rate, so they're all quality. And we can let buyers of BPO services cast their RFP to 10 times the number of companies, complete it in 1/10 the time with greater competition. So that partner selection part is the vendor identification, and the vetting part comes next, where we put them through an enterprise quality battery of tests. It's credit checks, reference checks. We do video site tours, and they have to answer at least 200 plus questions that are RFP style questions that live in our database. And we pre-connect them all to the RFP engine. So you can develop your perfect short list and cast that RFP and complete it in record time, leveraging the scope and scale of the market. The next step is the contract piece of the journey. So it's identify, vet, now contract. We've been able to get 170 BPO partners to be willing to trade on the same standard terms and conditions and under the same default MSA. So if a buyer hooks into the market and they're willing to adopt those terms, they can go through the legal process once, and then any change from then on doesn't have to go back through legal necessarily. That's not required. You can use your own paper, but we find that more companies using the market have actually opted for the marketplace paper, because now you can go from identify, vet, and contract in a week instead of 3 to 6 months. From a managed perspective, this is getting to the heart of what you touched on, where you need a diversified portfolio to be resilient against capacity shocks due to weather, due to systems outages, even management changes at your BPO can be disruptive. You need to have a portfolio, and what better portfolio than a global marketplace ready to serve you? And there's additionally leverage there. Now, if you're a buyer of BPO services and your BPO is underperforming, your normal recourse is to end that relationship. And you've inflicted damage on that BPO who lost the business, and they will not be happy about it. But through a market, you have extra leverage, because now ArenaCX is on notice that this BPO underperformed for you, and we look at their other campaigns and start double checking to see how they're performing for others. And it affects their ranking as new deals come in. So the power you wield through the market is greater than the power you wield on your own. This is especially true for middle markets. And then the change part at the end. So it's identify, vet, contract, manage, and then change. We have very convenient methodologies to make it easy to ramp one down and ramp another up without disruption. No rip and replace. Without disruption, you can evolve to expand, contract, add BPOs, reduce, or change. And your relationship with Arena is what's consistent, but the players in your portfolio evolve as your business need evolves. And so that's who we are, what we've been doing. That's how our value prop has shaped up. The new hot things that we're doing. So number one,
Okay, sorry. Yes. You were. That was such a great explanation. I love that you have this model, and I do want to hear about your new side of things. But I want to jump in because you said so much right there for the audiences that I want to unpack some of it to let it sink in. So what you've done, and I'll tell you, Alan, I talk to BPOs every day for my show and my content and all over the world. And I love what they're doing. Again, I'm passionate about them because they're helping underserved communities. I mean, just period, end of story. But standardization in the industry, you really are introducing a kind of standardization through what you just said that I think in some ways it indicates the maturity of the whole industry. You're like at the beginning, so many people think of BPOs as maybe more mature than they are, but I love your standardization. I love the flexibility, the agility, the efficiency, all the things that you're introducing. I'm sure everyone else does too. How hard was it to do that? Because when I met you the first time, you were like a lone wolf pioneer, just sort of climbing the mountain. You know, how's it been? It's obviously there's rapid adoption. You found the need. You have the marketplace. But has this taken a toll on you personally?
Well, a great friend and advisor of mine, before I embarked on the startup journey, gave me this statement. He said, running a startup is plowing a field with your face. And I laughed, and it was pretty hilarious. 2.5 years in, it's so true. It's so true. It's a labor of love. It's got to be your passion. You have ups and downs. There's always a mountain of things you need to do compared to the molehill of things you've accomplished so far. And we have a grand vision. We want to really make a real difference in this industry. And it's a traditional industry that has been unchanged in certain aspects for quite a while. So it's a large challenge that we've set for ourselves. So absolutely, am I living that journey of an entrepreneur? 100%. If you ask my family, they would like a little more time with me. I'm doing everything I can to balance that and enrich the team with other incredible resources around me and the others. But yeah, it's been hard. And even, the early going, getting those first BPOs to buy in. Try getting 170 general counsels from the BPO industry to align on the same standard terms and conditions. That was hard.
Talk about a death by 1,000 paper cuts.
It was crazy at the beginning. But people are by and large buying in now as they see demand flowing through the marketplace. It's encouraging that they can tap in and get access to deals. There's many reasons. A lot of what I said before was oriented towards the buy side. There's a lot of valuable reasons why BPOs want to be in here, in addition to getting deal activity. One example is the wholesale model of our marketplace. And this is when BPOs enter as buyers to subcontract work to other BPOs. Even the world's most well-known BPO brands that are global and have incredible scope and scale, they don't do universally everything. There's always something one of their customers wants that they have to make a decision on whether they want to offer that as part of their own practice or subcontract it. So we have some of the most famous BPOs in the world coming to us to subcontract certain languages that they don't have a practice in, or industry verticals and edge cases. And so that's good for the BPO community on the buy and the sell side. Smaller BPOs are getting deals from the bigger BPOs. The bigger ones are closing coverage gaps in the RFPs they're participating in. And there's several other reasons. So we're huge advocates for the BPO industry. And as marketplace operator, we don't exhibit a bias. We really just want the best buyer-seller relationship that can exist and persist for a long time.
I love that. Before we move on from the hardships of the personal struggles of being an entrepreneur, helping an industry mature, I just want to touch on that because I know it is difficult. And I've seen you out here on the grind for 2 years. So what I just would say is if there's an audience member listening who says, I really want to know more about what Alan's doing and I kind of like his energy on this podcast, what is the best way that people can help you plow the field with your face?
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, number one, I'm a faithful person. Anyone who feels so inclined to give me a prayer or some good vibes or whatever good mojo they practice, that's always welcome. Number two, we're not hard to find. So we're at ArenaCX.com. We're always interested in hearing how we can help the industry. So our marketplace exists, but people come to us by virtue of the fact that it exists to pursue other solutions that we can deliver to them just because we have a huge roster and a lot of know-how that's emerged from interacting with so many BPOs. But we're always looking for new high-quality BPOs. So if you have a favorite one, we would love to hear who it is. We would like to make sure that if they're not already in ArenaCX, that we invite them to join because we want trade in the market to be advantaged. Number two, if anyone's interest has been piqued by this and they haven't explored what we do, I want to hear what they want to make out of ArenaCX. While we've built something that I think is pretty powerful, we're still early and malleable. So we can continue to adapt this to deliver exactly what industry wants out of it.
The true hallmark of a CX pro or archetype is the answer is, I want to know more about the customer and the marketplace. I love that. So, all right. And if people wanted to invest, are you taking investors? You're done taking investments for a while.
So we did just close our second round in November. It's public filing. We raised $4.2 million. So that's what is powering our current wave of growth. We don't necessarily require more now to pursue our mission, but for strategic reasons, with the right investor who understands marketplaces, who understands BPO, and who really believes in what we're doing and wants to partner with us, then we could be authorized by our board to accept more on a strategic basis to really power the next wave of growth.
So speaking of the investment, now let's talk about the new exciting things. Obviously, every time I see an entrepreneur get some money, some cool bells and whistles show up. Talk about your bells and whistles.
Yeah, so one of the exciting things that's emerged, I've mentioned our public market, I've mentioned our wholesale market, BPO to BPO deals. There's this private market concept. So we spent a lot of time building digital technology. This isn't just like human-powered brokering that we're doing. We have a lot of digital technology. We've built all of that for the purpose of scope and scale and to do this with standardization for the world. But because we have the digital front end, we have the RFP engines, we have contract lifecycle management, we have all of this built, we can take a digital product and bolt it on to technology ecosystems. So one I can speak freely and publicly on is Zendesk. We went live by connecting the entire ArenaCX market into Zendesk, where they now have a get labor button that their 150,000-ish customers could access. When they click that button, that's powered by ArenaCX, and it serves up a subset of our 170 BPOs that are handpicked by Arena and by the Zendesk partnerships team to be Zendesk friendly, certified, approved, and expert. So any Zendesk customer can safely add talent that is endorsed by their partner Zendesk and vetted and administered by us. So we now give in-app labor provisioning to that CRM universe. And we have 3 more of these that are debuting over the next 2 months with brand names that are commensurate in that level. And so this creates deal flow for the BPOs, labor deals flowing through them, but they have to commit to that platform and be excited about working in that. And reciprocally, the BPOs are privileged to be in the private market that's curated by these channel masters, and therefore they're diverting some of their own pipeline for technology onto that channel. So everybody wins by virtue of this relationship. I think it's industry changing.
I can suddenly see why you got that next second round. Tell me just selfishly speaking, I'd love to tell that story with either Zendesk or one of your other upcoming partners. I'd love to break that story if there's a way we can work that out. Just speaking for myself selfishly.
I'll get the ball rolling on that.
We'll see. All right. So finally, you're on this great typical hero's journey. You're out there plowing your field. Looks like you have good weather. You've planted some great seeds. You're starting to harvest. What's 10 years from now look like for you?
Oh, wow. I think in 10 years, the company's mission and my personal mission will evolve. So there's the potential for this marketplace concept to become the preferred method for trade in outsourced business services, similar to what eBay's and Amazon did, right? Trade should be advantaged inside of the market, where this is where the better deals are, the better tech stack is, the better partners are, everything's vetted and approved, and it works more seamlessly and smoothly. I want it to be the default place where trade is conducted. On a personal level, as an entrepreneur, I have some skin in the game and stake, and if I emerge successful in the journey, 10 years from now, I expect to be doing a lot of good with it personally. It's part of that impact mission of leveraging the marketplace to help influence the placement of jobs with communities who need it. I'd like to just amplify that in whatever way I can and see where the path unfolds between now and then, and do that with my family as well.
I love that's a really good game plan. Good luck with that. Tell me, I'm sending you good energy and prayers right now.
Thank you.
Tell me about, from your vantage point in the CX industry, everybody has a different take on whether AI is changing the game or the politic is changing the game or what have you. This year in 2023, if a business leader in the CX industry is listening, what do you think is sort of a prime factor of this year that we should be paying attention to?
Certainly, I definitely think generative AI is real. It can change the industry. It will, and I'm of the opinion that it should change the industry. There's a lot of power there. We do know it's incredibly realistic and can just mine and source data from wide sources. It also lies. So we have to make sure that we're getting the truth out of it, because it'll be super credible conversations that we're having with generative AI, and it's not always being served up the accurate info. So I still think there's going to be roles for people to feed the machine, to manage it, to QA it, and to handle escalations from it, and the white glove treatment. It'll never kind of have the same relationship that you can have. So I imagine in order to tap into that human element, maybe we'll see more video chat emerging over time. So it's a person and you're relating to them and you're having that bond forming.
Hard to generative AI body language right now.
It probably will get there.
It will,
everything's moving exponentially, but I think that could be a nice interim step. But I also think as AI begins to take on kind of high volume, low complexity issues, the humans are going to be tasked to do more. They're going to do the creative work. They're going to do the complex work. They're going to deal with the unsatisfied customers who need to escalate out of that. And so the challenge that's left behind for us in the CX world isn't going anywhere. It'll transform. It might even become a little more difficult to achieve it. And so I like to think there's a way what we're building is getting ready to empower that next generation of CX leaders that are on the human side of the equation to coexist in healthy ways and to engineer those proper meshing between the two.
You bring up, maybe here's an idea on that topic that's been going through my mind, and maybe this will plant one seed in your field for me. Because I think now that I'm reflecting on it, you're the perfect voice or visionary to be tending some of this. Here's on that topic, my thinking, current thinking in April 2023. As generative AI becomes more sophisticated and sounds more human, okay? And I, as a customer, call in, and maybe I'm talking to you about maybe I'm talking to the AI about the shipping of a product that I ordered. I just want to know where it is, when is it going to get here, that sort of thing. Great. But as I move into, let's say, a patient experience where I'm asking about my health, and then I might be getting some answers that are very valuable to me, and I continue to divulge more information, the conversation gets richer and richer. I think there's going to be a point where, because the information may not be discernible from human or machine, but I may, as a customer, say, I want to make sure that I'm talking to a human about this because of whatever bias I might have, or I want to know that this is a machine telling me about my health and what to expect in the future. Not saying, and I'm not sure as a personal user, I might tend to trust a machine that tells me about my health more than a human, but I'm not sure I'll feel better about it. So in your wisdom and your journey, it might be interesting to think about breadcrumbs along the way that let us discern who are human and who are machines.
Yeah, Dennis, I think that's really insightful as to kind of where the dichotomy really lies between these resource pools. On the human side, yes, we want to get our facts right, but it's the empathy and the emotions and the relationship and that common experience that we share with the person that we're interacting with that may be the most valuable piece of the CX experience for the brand, right? Getting the facts right is kind of a mere level of compliance. And I do think the machine should aspire to get that right with the highest level of Six Sigma precision, right? And so you're right. I do think it's the feelings and the empathy. I'm not ready to unveil it, but I would be, maybe we can break another story in the future, but I have a concept that something that ArenaCX is thinking of doing that's deliberately designed to bridge this gap, and we're just a little bit ahead of unveiling.
Fair enough.
That
Zip a lip, but
right
let's zipping it up. We'll cut that off there. But yes, think of me.
I have something to talk to you about. We can talk off the record about it.
Awesome. Okay, well, with that said, I appreciate your time, Alan. I'm going to put all of your contact information in the links in the description so people can get in touch with you. But I just want to say thank you for your time at the show today, and let's not make this the last time you show up on the show.
My pleasure. Dennis, you are the global voice of CX, and so I'm at your beck and call with me anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming on this adventure. To catch up with Dennis for CX news and industry events, visit www.denniswakabayashi.com.